From the very first breath a pharaoh took, his sacred journey toward eternity had already begun. In ancient Egypt, life on earth was just the first chapter. What truly mattered was the afterlife. And no transition was more mysterious, more elaborate, or more sacred than mummification. This wasn't simply about preserving a body, it was about preparing a king for eternity, transforming a mortal ruler into a divine being destined to live forever among the gods. The moment a pharaoh died, the entire kingdom shifted into a state of holy urgency. Priests, embalmers, and ritual experts all played their part in a sacred process that lasted for 70 days. A process guided not by science, but by religion, magic, and thousands of years of tradition. The embalmers first carried the king's body to the house of purification, a sacred workshop. Hidden from public view, here, under the watchful gaze of Anubis, the jackal-headed god of embalming, the divine transformation began. The body was washed with sacred water from the Nile, while priests chanted ancient spells designed to protect the king's soul on its perilous journey. Then came one of the most delicate steps, removing the internal organs. The Egyptians knew that decay started from within, so, using specialized tools, embalmers carefully removed the stomach, liver, lungs, and intestines. Each organ was dried with a special salt called natron, and then placed inside its own beautiful canopic jar, each guarded by one of the 4 sons of Horus. But the heart was always left inside the body. The Egyptians believed it was the seat of a person's identity, their emotions, and their conscience. Without the heart, the king could not face the final judgment in the afterlife. The brain, surprisingly, was considered important for the next life. It was carefully removed through the nose using a long, hooked instrument, and then discarded. What mattered most was the spirit, the name, and the memory of the king. With the body now prepared, the embalmers packed it completely, inside and out, with natron. For 40 long days, the salt slowly drew out every last drop of moisture. The body dried, shrank, and became perfectly preserved, ready for eternity. This wasn't a scientific procedure. It was a deeply religious ritual, where every single step was guided by myths, spells, and the will of the gods. Once the drying process was complete, the body was carefully cleaned and filled with precious resins, fragrant perfumes, and bundles of linen to restore its lifelike shape. Then, the wrapping began. Hundreds of meters of fine linen were wrapped around the body, layer after intricate layer, with each strip blessed and sealed with warm resin. Tucked between these layers, priests strategically placed powerful amulets, small but mighty charms meant to protect the king's soul from demons, curses, and the many dangers lurking in the underworld. The most important of these was the scarab beetle amulet, placed directly over the heart. This sacred charm would ensure the king's heart spoke favorably for him during the final judgment in the Hall of Osiris. As the final layers of linen were wrapped, the pharaoh was no longer just a man. He had become a divine figure, reborn and prepared for his eternal life. The last and most dramatic part of the ritual was the opening of the mouth ceremony. Using a sacred, adze-shaped tool, priests would symbolically touch the mummy's face to magically restore its senses, sight, smell, hearing, and breath. The king could now see the gods, hear their words, and speak to them in the afterlife. The perfectly wrapped mummy was then placed inside a stunning, ornate coffin, which was then placed inside another, and sometimes another, creating a series of nested coffins, often crafted from solid gold, fine wood, and inlaid with precious stones. All of this was finally sealed within a massive stone sarcophagus. Finally, a grand procession carried the pharaoh to his tomb, a magnificent architectural masterpiece, designed to be his eternal home. It was filled with unimaginable treasures, weapons, food, statues, boats, and everything he could possibly need for eternity. Gold to shine like the sun god Ra, spells carved into the walls to guide him safely through the underworld, and powerful statues to stand as guardians, protecting him forever. For the ancient Egyptians, mummification was never a ritual of death. It was a promise of rebirth. A powerful transformation that ensured the pharaoh would rise again with the sun each morning, walk among the gods, and rule in the afterlife just as he had in life. Thousands of years later, when archaeologists uncovered these perfectly preserved kings, The world was left in absolute awe. Their faces, their jewelry, their magnificent coffins all remained almost untouched by the passage of time. Through the sacred art of mummification, the Egyptians achieved what no other civilization ever had. They found a way to conquer death itself. And every mummy we uncover today still whispers the same timeless message: for a true king, life never ends. Thank you for joining this journey into the sacred world of ancient Egypt. If you found this fascinating, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories from history.